Saltburn has been out on Amazon Prime for some time now, second film from director Emerald Fennell, after her debut Promising Young Woman, which was my second favorite film of 2021. Incredible feature debut. This new film stars Barry Keoghan, Jacob Elordi, Rosamund Pike, Richard E. Grant, Archie Madekwe, Sadie Soverall, and Carey Mulligan. Now, for the people wondering whether to see this movie or not, I will straight up just say that it is amazing and it is best viewed completely blind. Don't read about it, don't learn anything about the plot, just put it on. It's really great that way, but a fair bit of warning. It's not the kind of film you want to see with your parents or grandparents. It's wild, it's crazy, full of debauchery and scenes which are at the same time gross, strange and funny, often in sexual ways, so be warned about that. For the folks who don't mind learning a bit more about the film and as to why I love it, let's start with some very basic plot setup. Barry Keoghan plays Oliver, who at the beginning of the film in 2006 arrives at Oxford University to begin his education there. He doesn't fit in. He's sort of an outsider, he's a bit of a nerd, neatly dressed, awkward, shy, and also very visibly middle class, where all of the people around him are much more ostensibly rich, aristocratic, spoiled. Oliver wants to be like that. He wants to be one of those people. He wants to be cool, and a chance presents itself when he befriends one of the cool kids, maybe the coolest of them all, Felix. Felix ends up inviting him to spend the summer together with his family at this grand manor they own in the countryside, a house called Saltburn. And the story goes from there. Now, listen, I've seen some very polarized opinions about this movie. Some people say it was spectacular. Some say they were disappointed that it goes for extreme shock value and it doesn't actually have anything clever to say about the themes of class struggle, which it sort of explores. I am in the former camp. I think the film is great, but crucially, it's not because I disagree with all those criticisms. I think that the movie is shocking and at times overly gross. It made me have visceral reactions to it even watching it at home, and I also do think that it's not primarily focused on having a strong sort of agenda, a sort of moral or lesson to be learned. I think it does play with these ideas of class and wealth and fitting in, but even though they are not the strongest part of the film, it still manages to work very, very well because it's just so damn entertaining with the plot, the characters, and the way it looks. Starting with the plot then, I really appreciated how the movie managed to constantly surprise me. As someone who watches literally hundreds of movies every year, believe me, things get repetitive pretty quickly. So I tend to appreciate movies that go crazy and do something wild and new and unexpected, even if they don't get it quite perfectly. Which is interesting in the case of Saltburn, because after the movie ended, I realized it actually bears strong similarities to The Talented Mr. Ripley, but I just didn't consciously register that as I was viewing it, because I was so engrossed in the film itself that I didn't really have time to think about anything outside of the movie. The characters are written incredibly well, and they are the source of much of the movie's humor. In terms of the tone, it actually plays out like a very dark thriller comedy, with the director describing it as a sort of a vampire movie, even though it doesn't contain any supernatural elements. Barry Keoghan is captivating, as he seems to be in every role so far. There is something to be said about his ability to play a creepy, pathetic little goblin of a character, but also about his ability to suddenly look like the coolest guy ever in some of the scenes. Part of it is, of course, the lighting and the way he's shot and the hair and the clothes, but a large part is his changes in demeanor, the way he carries himself. Rosamund Pike is wonderfully vapid as the super rich matron of the family. Richard E. Grant, entertainingly aloof until the final act when he sort of taps into the quiet desperation. Jacob Elordi is incredibly charismatic as Felix, and he sort of grounds the film, and despite his flaws, you sort of grow to like him and feel bad for him. And the interplay of all these people and more, played by all these great actors, is what really makes the movie go forward. Even in the smaller moments when nothing is really happening, it's just so enjoyable to watch them interact. And then there's the cinematography. It is such an incredibly beautiful film. I think it's one of the best of 2023 in this regard. It's shot in a square 4:3 ratio, with often wide lenses to capture the large rooms and exteriors of the house or multiple characters at once. Its use of color and shot composition is nothing short of spectacular, and there were multiple moments where you can pause the movie and just have that shot as an amazing poster on the wall. It looks like a gothic fairy tale, even though it is technically a modern day film. I cannot overstate this. It's really sublime in terms of how it looks. Plus, it also has great music and the phenomenal ending scene, which ties into that, ties into the soundtrack, kind of like Promising Young Woman did. The one thing I would change about the film is remove the montage towards the end, which sort of clearly explains to the audience everything that happened beforehand. I think it unnecessarily spells out what was very obvious all the way through, but the additional reveal makes it seem kind of like Emerald Fennell suddenly lost respect for her audience and felt the need to really hammer the point home. Without that montage, with just Barry Keoghan's monologue, I think the film would have been a bit stronger. But even as it is, it was an incredibly fun experience to see the movie and to laugh at some of the absurd situations, be freaked out and grossed out by others, and just enjoy it for the fun and beautiful ride that it was all the way through. For my money, it's one of the best movies of 2023.